All right. Well, it's not letting me see my webcam, so I don't know how this is gonna. It's the first time I've used this software. So, this is what I wanted to talk about tonight. It says, let's be clear. People from low income areas are usually not educated enough to find jobs slash make a living and shouldn't have guns. Why should they have to protect their families if they don't possess things that people might want to steal? Or are they in a war zone and need guns? So, here's my issue with this. This woman is supposed to be a liberal. Liberals are supposed to be for inclusivity, yet this woman wants to disclude poor people from the rights that they have, rights that are given to us by the Constitution of the United States, rights that she's perfectly fine with exercising herself, probably, or, at least allowing people in her socioeconomic class to exercise, yet she's unwilling to allow low income people. Like, she thinks that we shouldn't. And yes, I happen to be low income. I'm not uneducated. I'm probably, I don't know. I don't know what bracket of education I am amongst the people that I know. I know a lot of people who are going to college. I know a lot of people who are about to go to college. And I know quite a few people who are post college. And I'm actually some college. Like, I have a GED, which I took one time and I did not take a class to study for it. And I was a senior when I took my GED. So it wasn't because I failed or anything. It was because I didn't want to do high school anymore. I didn't have the commitment for it. I don't lack intelligence or education. I'm very well educated. I'm kind of well read, not super well read, but I'm kind of well read. Like, I speak multiple languages. And I have some obstacles that are preventing me from being able to do better in my life, which is why I'm low income, why my husband and I are low income. And it's not criminal. Like, neither of us are criminals. We don't steal. We don't lie. We don't cheat. We don't do things that are bad, like inherently bad. You don't, just because you're low income does not necessarily mean that you're uneducated, that you can't find a job. Both of us work. I wonder if this woman realizes how many low income people actually work. The majority of food stamps recipients work. It's ridiculous. You can receive cash welfare and have a job and qualify for it. You can work and qualify for welfare. As a matter of fact, I know that right now we qualify for subsidies for childcare. All of my children qualify for Medicaid, and we're both working. So just because you're low income doesn't mean that you're uneducated, that you don't know how to make a living, that you can't find jobs, and that you don't have things that you want to protect. I have a family. You think that people wouldn't rob me? This woman, this woman is a liberal. If you go to her page, we're going to her page, her Twitter page. Should dump Trump resistance thing. Let's see, Control F. We're going to search. We're going to search for hashtag me too. She doesn't have it. Okay. Probably because it has to load a whole bunch and it's not on this page. But I bet you, I'm willing to bet that this woman probably voted for Hillary Clinton. She has tweets down here. You go down far enough. I saw them yesterday. It's "This is what Donald Trump thinks of women" tweets. If this woman is talking about "This is what Donald Trump thinks of women," I have to wonder if she voted for Hillary Clinton. I have to wonder if she's so angry that he made president that she wishes that Hillary won. Hillary enabled her husband to sexually assault women, and not just Monica Lewinsky. He raped Juanita Broderick. The media treated her like trash. Bill Mayer says she needed to take one for the team. These are the same people who are looking at us and telling us, oh, men need to not rape, and Me Too, believe all survivors. but they didn't want to believe her. They didn't want to support her. They weren't there for her. They weren't there for the other ones. I can't remember her first name, but Flowers is her last name. He assaulted her too. They only care when it's a Democrat, and that makes them a hypocrite. That means that they don't actually care about the things that they're pretending to care about. The things that they're spouting, they don't really believe in them. These people are fake. Whether or not they're bots or real or not, if they're a real person, that's a fake person. And that's the kind of person that I wouldn't want in my life. Come down here. Telling poor people, you're all about inclusivity, all about helping women. You're doing that whole, this is what Donald Trump thinks of women. I'm going to find that tweet down here. I know she shared it. So I was looking at her Twitter last night and I seen it. And this is just the way that I talk normally, but I really can speak like I'm educated. I just don't feel like it. I just talk like this all the time when I'm with my friends and stuff. Like I seen it. I saw it yesterday. I know how to speak English. So I know when somebody gets up on here talking about how I don't know how to speak English, just realize that this is how I speak every day. But I do know how to speak proper English. Just because a person falls into the kind of dialogue that they regularly use every day does not mean that they don't know how to speak, that they don't know how to read, that they don't know how to write. Because those are the things that really show if you're educated, if you know how to write and not just write about something that you have an opinion on. You need to know how to write about a whole source of different things and actually put your specific thoughts every day down onto something, because that's how you can disseminate your thoughts and really organize them. And then the reading, you can read, you read, then you write about what you read. You can prove that you show that you can actually successfully process the information that you've taken in. And that's the same with speaking. You listen, you can write about it or you can talk about it. And it just because you speak a certain way doesn't mean that you don't understand what you're talking about. So I just want to put that out there right now, because this is about low-income people and being educated or not educated. Just because we speak a certain way doesn't mean, just because our lingo is different doesn't mean that we're stupid. You know, we know we're not stupid. We're not stupid. Like, there are people that you can tell there's not much going for them. You know what? I don't care. I really believe in the potential of all people. You can tell when somebody doesn't want to learn. You can tell when somebody is incapable of learning about that specific thing. But you can also tell when people are untapped potentials, when they're actually more intelligent than they give themselves credit for. And I know many people who are like that in my socioeconomic class, who are much smarter, who are much more intelligent, and who have so much more potential than they actually realize, or that they act like they might even know how much potential they have. They just don't act like it. So, I mean, you guys can peruse her thing. It's like a video or something that she shared that says this is how Donald Trump treats women. Well, my whole point with this is that this woman would look at a woman like me and say that I don't deserve guns just because of how much money I make. I don't deserve to protect my family. I don't deserve to protect myself as a woman. I don't deserve, and I have nothing that other people want to possess and steal. But you're going to talk about what Donald Trump thinks about women. You're not going to talk about the risk of me being raped if I'm unarmed. The highly likelihood that if somebody decided that they wanted to assault me in any way, that without a gun or without some kind of weapon, I will fall victim and I will surely lose. So or like there's like I live low income neighborhoods are like, especially in my area, which is in an urban dwelling. I live in the city. I'm not gonna say. Well, you know, you might look it up on there. I live in Yakima, Washington. I live in one of the most dangerous cities in the state of Washington. As a matter of fact, it has the highest homicide rate per capita in the state of Washington. And this woman would have me go without a gun because I have nothing that they want to steal. Do you realize, Kimberly, that gangsters sometimes pick people at random to have initiates murder or rape or jump or assault in some way, in some fashion, victimize. Kimberly, you are the definition of an oppressor. You would take away guns from people who don't make as much money as you. Why? That's not a real reason. You don't have a real reason why. There's no real reason to take. I'm not uneducated. I make a living. I have a job and I have things that people would want to steal from me. Obviously, I'm using a computer with a webcam to shoot this video. That means that I have things that people want. How ignorant are you in your little bubble of bourgeois, upper class to middle to upper class lifestyle? Do you not know anybody who doesn't make a lot of money? Do you not associate with anybody? Do you not volunteer your time at homeless shelters or soup kitchens? Do you not get out there to help the needy? Like, don't fucking donate money to an organization. Get the fuck out there and look at people. Get the fuck out there and associate. Get the fuck out there and realize what the fuck you're talking about, because you're doing nothing but spilling out dribble that nobody understands. You're just pushing propaganda that everybody listens to for some reason. The reason why this woman's opinion is actually important is because it is not the first time that I have heard other people decide that we should oppress poor people for no other reason than that they're poor. I've heard the argument that poor people shouldn't own guns because we're more likely to commit crime. Because statistically speaking, more crime happens within my socioeconomic class. But if you look at the percentages of people within each socioeconomic class, what is the understanding there? The understanding is that more wealth is held by less people at the top, and less wealth is held by more people at the bottom. Well, wouldn't it go to assume that if it's in such a pyramid and a hierarchical structure, that more people would have less money at the bottom, that there would be more poor people than all of the other people in your wonderful little oppression triangle? And wouldn't it go to say that that's why, maybe why, we have a higher percentage of criminality amongst us, because our population is larger? You know, I don't like to look at statistics because I think that they're fucking retarded. I think that they put a label on a bunch of people. I really take offense when somebody looks at me and says that because of my socioeconomic class, I am at a higher probability of committing crimes and of being a criminal. That's oppressive. That's oppressive and dangerous talk, because I do not commit crimes. Any crimes that I may or may not commit are done out of the necessity to do so, to take care of my family. They're not inherently immoral, nor are they evil. It's not like I'm going out and stealing. I'm not going to stores and stealing food. I go to the food bank if I need to. I get off my lazy ass and do what I have to do for my family without being a bad person. So don't sit there and say that we shouldn't have guns because we're uneducated or we're more likely to be criminals, because there are those of us who you would disarm that would fall victim to all those extra criminals that our socioeconomic class happens to have. There are criminals. I'm fairly certain that there is a meth house down the street from my house. There are tweakers and homeless people and drunks that every night they wander through my yard because my landlord refuses to buy locks and chains, so that because the other tenants refuse to use them, so that all of these tweakers, drug addicts, homeless people, and drunk people don't walk through our yard. But I don't get to have that safety and security, do I? And then this woman would take my last line of defense. This woman would have me be at the behest of one night if one of these people decided that they wanted to invade my home, that they wanted to hurt me and my family. What would I do? What would I do? And they have decided to deface my property before. They have come onto my property here, that we live on. And they have messed with things that are on my building, like cables and wires and things like that. They don't care. I've had a man who actually turned out to be a sex offender approach me right after I moved in. He waited and he watched for my husband to leave the home before he knocked on the door. And he knocked on the door and gave me some sob story about how he was the grandson of the people who built the home that I rent. I don't own this home. I rent this home. And it's not owned by his family anymore, if that is his family. I heard that it's true. This man comes up to my porch, and I was pregnant at the time. I was pregnant. I brought my dog with me because my dog was one vicious little bitch. She was a Chihuahua, and she's defended me before. She was the only defense that I had against this man. I had two children living in the home with me, my two older children with my husband, while I was pregnant with twins. I was heavily pregnant. It wasn't just something simple. If this man had decided to attack me, he probably might have won because I was extraordinarily pregnant with twins. And he approached me asking for a place to stay. And I told him I could give him the contact information of the landlord so that he could inquire about the other homes that he had for rent. And that was not good enough for this man. This man wanted to live in my home. I had just moved into my home. This man waited for my husband to leave before he knocked on the door and approached. If he had decided to attack us, he would have won. My dog might have been able to fend him off, but I highly doubt it. She was less than 5 pounds. She might have done some damage, but he would have killed her. And I was very lucky that I was precautious and would not take steps toward him. I took steps back. I closed my door to keep my children safe in the home. And then it turned out when we did research on this man that he was a convicted sex offender who happens to be indigent. Now that's some scary shit. But this woman would have me defenseless because I have nothing they want. Even though there are sex offenders and traffickers who steal children every day and sell them, I have nothing anybody wants to steal. Even though I have computers and TVs and cell phones, I have nothing anybody wants to steal. Even though I have a vagina and breasts, I have nothing that anybody wants to steal because I'm poor.